The problem as understood is the outcome of a problem redefinition process. The start point when you first get a team of people together as a creative facilitator is to have a problem as defined. Problem as defined invariably starts with the words how can, that way you know it finishes with a question mark. It's probably how can we do this and that by implementing my favourite solution is the crude definition of how you would start off with a very poor problem as defined. This inevitably needs conditioning. If you want to drive the creative process, we need to work on this to redefine it as the problem as understood. That is then the driving force for the creative process. You can solve the problem as defined by staying inside the world in which you're trapped. You cannot solve the problem as understood unless you step out into some parallel universe where things are done very differently. So the problem as understood is critically important. Now, the problem as defined invariably starts with the words how can, and how can is current tense. If I say to you, how can we do something? I'm inviting you to generate ideas on how to solve the problem based on the way in which we normally do things today. It's kind of the here and now, the status quo, the world of what is. That's not good enough. If we want to challenge that world, then we must not encourage solutions that are drawn from that world. We need to raise the bar. The start point from a problem as understood is always the words in what way might. In what way might is a curious way to start any problem statement, and it's classic neuro-linguistic programming or NLP language. It's an invitation to the future. If I say to you in what way might something be done, then it's an invitation to think quite differently. Whereas how can is based on the world of what is. So we have in what way might. The next word is always the word I, which tends to make the problem owner feel a little bit uncomfortable. They were far more comfortable when it was we. It was how can we do something, because that's nice collective and gives you plenty of places to hide. In what way might I pins you down on the spot. There is nowhere to hide now. It is crystal clear who is going to be taking the actions on the back of this. So I is super important. The next word kind of compounds that discomfort because the next word must always be the word guarantee. And kind of curious situation where you often find people saying, well, how do you spell guarantee? How do you spell guarantee? Which just underlines how little, how seldom we use the word guarantee in the business context. Because guarantee is an awkward word. There is absolutely nowhere to hide. If you're going to guarantee something, then you are underlining that you will not fail. This is really uncomfortable and people don't like it. Brilliant. Because in what way might I guarantee? And in fact, it's not just in what way might I guarantee, it's in what way might I guarantee. Underline the word guarantee. Makes it really impactful. The problem owner by this stage is often a quivering wreck because not only were they uncomfortable by the word I, guarantee then compounded it. Now you've, for goodness sake, underlined the word guarantee. There is now nowhere to hide. Great. What you now need to do is to finish that sentence off with an emotionally charged outcome. What is the outcome you're looking to achieve? Now, the outcome is kind of a curious thing, and you often find the problem owner will say, well, hang on. The outcome, what do you mean? What's the outcome? I hadn't thought about it that way. I've got a method I'd like to introduce, which is the answer, by the way, that their preferred answer. But we don't want that. What we want is the outcome. We want the maximum freedom to generate a specific outcome as specified by the problem owner. And the rest of the team will often assist the problem owner in defining what that outcome might be. And I say emotionally laden because what we need to do is to pump up that problem statement. That problem statement needs to look out of this world. By definition, the problem as understood will look to be impossible to achieve from the world of what is. And the problem owner is then trapped in the world of what is, constrained by conventional and traditional thinking. My acid test for the problem as understood is the discomfort that the problem owner will show. The problem owner should be saying this is not possible to achieve. There's a beautiful Henry Ford quote that says, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are correct. So if you look at the problem statement and say that's not possible, then you are correct because you will now behave in a manner that's consistent with it not being possible to solve. The spirit we want is for you to look at that problem statement as the problem owner and say, well, actually, you can't solve that unless you do things very differently. And it's that very differently that we're out in pursuit of. And to pump up the problem statement, you want to embroider it with extreme words. So let me explain. If you want someone to be more engaged with the process, you don't want them more engaged, you want them very engaged. You don't want them very engaged, you want them very, very engaged. You don't want them you want them very, very, very engaged. No, you don't. You want them passionate about it. No, you don't. You want them obsessively passionate. Repetition of words, hugely powerful. underlining of words to emphasize the meaning, critically important. The aim of the process is to deliver a problem statement for the problem owner that would be magnificent if only it could be achieved. The fact we don't know how to achieve it, quite frankly, is neither here nor there. Never let the fact that you don't know how to solve a problem get in the way of a great problem definition. That's the next part of the process, for goodness sake, when we move to idea generation. Let's worry about that later. Let's use the techniques as a team to generate an idea for the problem owner, the like of which they'd never seen before, but which they're excited to go and implement. Novel and useful. Creative.